Welcome, everybody. Welcome to what we're calling the Mastermind Call. This is the first in a series. It was a great idea that we had over the last little bit, talking with some leaders on Friday, and Joe and Aaron said, let's fire this up on a bigger scale. And so we're excited to do that. At the table right now, we are joined by Joe Morton, Gordon Morton, Beverly Hollister, Adam Blake, Kelly Allred, and I am Dave Webb, your humble moderator, and whoever else just called in. So thank you. We can tell who's joined us, but we're not going to call everybody out right now. But we're glad to have you with us. We hope everyone had a terrific weekend here in the States and in Canada. We celebrated Labor Day, and it was a nice time to get outside, maybe enjoy some of that summer weather for the last little bit. Beverly's talking about chasing deer through the parkways of Draper, Utah.
I did. They just looked at me.
You must be like Snow White. I bet they just come up and eat an apple out of your hands, Beverly.
They just like big old ears and eyes.
So charming. Always so charming. So we're excited to get this started, and let's just do a quick catch up on things that are happening about XANGO Nation. Obviously, September 1 was a big day. That was obviously Labor Day, which we all celebrated by having a new compensation plan in action.
Yay.
That's not entirely true. It's been the same plan for a few months, and it's just really magnifying the best elements of the best compensation plan that has ever been. And we're excited about this.
How much do we still pay, Dave?
We are still paying 50%. We have to pay 50%. So the change is not a change. But we've enhanced some of the great things. It's simpler. We're talking about qualifying with volume instead of worrying about how many people, how many levels down might make it to 1K so that my 5K can qualify, so that my 20K can get there. All of those things, they're not as much of a concern anymore. We want to help individuals, absolutely, but we're qualifying with volume-based plan. And that's the wave of the future. That is how everybody's going to have to do it if they want to keep up with XANGO. So we're excited for that. We have some great new tools coming out in short days. Am I right, Kelly?
That's right.
Inside of a couple of weeks, we'll have some great new tools for tracking volume, for tracking your status, for where you are on driving your own dream, for where you are on earning your rank advancement bonuses. You can help people, find out who needs help, because we're still in the business of helping people. And I love the rule from Augmendino, from everybody, greatest salesman in the world. Anybody who has done anything really comes down to, if you help other people get what they want, you will find you get what you want. And that is the foundation of what we do at XANGO. And within this room, I look around the table, and every discussion we have talks about how does this help and benefit distributors and customers. And so thank you to Joe and Gordon and Beverly and the rest of the board members for their incredible work in setting up a company like this. Part of that bold compensation obviously is going to be helping people get qualified for new ranks and new people earning Drive Your Own Dream and earning new things. And I think everyone on the phone should stand up where you are and welcome into our room Mr. Aaron Garrity, who has just joined us.
Welcome.
And we're glad to have Aaron here, and I'll lump Aaron in with the rest of these incredible founders. Not that you were excluded before. You are always lumped in, Aaron, let me be clear. But we're talking about the value of this incredible compensation plan and the great opportunities that are now going to be even more available to people as we go forward. So we're excited for that. We're eager for what this means for the individuals and for the groups that we get to work with and that we get to know. And we're pleased that what has proven to be the greatest compensation plan can get better and simpler and more rewarding, and the focus that we're putting on that XANGO Bold and XALO Bold compensation is going to make a difference in hundreds of thousands and millions of lives around the world. We are looking into what happens in about 6 short weeks, less than that. Inside of 5.5 weeks, we will be at Long Beach for the Long Beach Regional event. Tickets are still available, but they're going fast. We're filling that room, and we're going to have, again, it's a quarterly event. We're not doing gigantic breakouts, and we're not having, a hot air balloon dropping founders from different parts of the greater Los Angeles area. But it will be still some founder presentations, and we will have some incredible instruction, some incredible recognition and celebration, and really kind of the kickoff to the year of Rush, to the year of XANGO Rush. And so we want to see you at the XANGO Long Beach event, and you and your groups are invited and welcome. And just come and set the tone for your business going forward. Got some great things going on. I also want to talk about the Lucky 21 promotion that is rolling right now. Lucky 21, we have now 2 weeks. We are inside of 2 weeks left for the Lucky 21 promotion. For those of you who might not be aware, and everyone better be aware, you got to know what is awesome about these promotions. The first one, Lucky 21, meant that as of the launch of the XANGO Rush theme for Convention 2015, we had 21 days to get this awesome price of just $49 per ticket. Now that runs through September 15th, which is 2 weeks from yesterday, which means 2 weeks from today that price is going to go up by about double. It'll be $99, and you won't get the great XANGO Rush t-shirt, the limited edition Lucky 21 XANGO Rush t-shirt. Look for those to be showing up on social media pretty soon. They're going to be sent out right away. Everyone who is getting these tickets, and we've watched, I mean, I can't count how many have come from the first week of orders. So the first weekend of orders, we had over 1,000 come out of that Mexico event. We have had hundreds since then. We're in danger of selling out, and by danger I mean we are thrilled, because we would love to have that happen. But watch for those selfie pictures of people in their XANGO Rush t-shirt. We have a XANGO Rush selfie wall right here at the corporate headquarters, painted by, I'm going to say led by our General Counsel and Vice President of basically everything, Leslie, who says it's time to paint this wall pink. And so she said, let's get permission. Who do we ask? And so she asked Aaron. Aaron said, go for it. So we came in after work and painted a wall pink, and it is now the Rushy self-promotion, selfie station for getting your pictures.
And Janelle Crane, sorry, that's what I was poking in your face, Dave.
Oh,
Janelle Crane just said she got her Rush t-shirt today.
All right, Janelle, let's get some pictures up.
And you know she will.
You know she will. Tag that, XANGORush.com, hashtag XANGO Selfie Rush. Something about when the XANGO bends, I think, is another hashtag. So I know Janelle is going to exploit social media to her greatest advantage, which we celebrate, and we're eager to see those things. So way to go. Thanks for showing that. And by the end of this call, I think we're all going to be jumping on Facebook to see Janelle and her t-shirt posted up there. So remember, that's the Lucky 21 promo. You get a t-shirt and a great, phenomenal ticket price, and as you enter yourself in that selfie promotion, you get an entry into winning the Mercedes CLA car, which deserves a phone call of its own. We're not going to take the time to go into how awesome that Mercedes is, but it is phenomenal. I can't wait to get mine for Christmas from the founders this year. We're so excited. So let's run right into the purpose of this call. We talked about mastermind and the concept behind a mastermind. And Joe, you've had some great you've pulled some great information and some great background on what makes these things phenomenal, and you've incorporated in your life. I know Aaron has, I know Gordon, Beverly, all of us are trying to incorporate these things, and I love the direction and the focus that you put into these specific elements. So why don't you start in with this great book from Dr. Hill?
Yes, you bet. Think and Grow Rich, everyone. We talked about this before. Many of you have it. If not, you're probably familiar with it. Written in 1937 by Napoleon Hill, our father, Gord. I mean, how many times did we hear about the idea of mastermind growing up? I mean, Think and Grow Rich was a standard issue in our house.
And on the back of the toilet.
I was going to say, I was just going to say it was in our bathroom. Okay, yes, now you all know it was on our toilet. It was part of our lives. We listened to audios. We listened to, I mean, this was just part of what we grew up with, thinking and growing rich. And Bob Proctor, for example, Gord, what was the book that Bob Proctor had? It was called?
Rich?
No, Born Rich.
Oh, Born Rich.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Think and Grow Rich.
I think he had a copy.
Actually, he holds a copy of Think and Grow Rich every time he gives a seminar. It's that one copy he got like 50 years ago or whatever. And Think and Grow Rich it has created so much success in this world, so much success. And one of the key principles that he talks about in here is the principle of a mastermind. And let me read exactly right from the book what he says about a mastermind. Gaining power through the mastermind. The mastermind may be defined as, quote, coordination of knowledge and effort in a spirit of harmony between two or more people for the attainment of a definite purpose. The whole point is getting like minds together, keeping yourself on track, working towards, like he says, a definite purpose, attaining a definite purpose. And so a mastermind could be 2 people. It could be 3. It could be 10. It could be 20. He does recommend you keep it relatively small. Now, on a call like this, we recognize there's a lot more people than a few people on it. But the whole idea is just get us together. Let's talk. Let's talk about what makes us tick. what's one of the key principles in our business that is going to help us be successful. And so, welcome to our mastermind. We're going to do this on a more regular basis where we will, of course, address issues like as Dave has and help us understand what we need to understand. We've got different promotions at different times. We'll talk about that over the course of different calls. But we'll also just address what's on our heart. And I believe, we were talking about this beforehand, the first thing that we really do need to think about is what's going on in our mind. Because we talked about this, I led to this idea on the last call. If you remember, I finished the call with that thought. We become what we think about all day long. So what is it that you're thinking about? I love this quote, by the way. Gandhi. This is a beautiful quote. Came across this recently. Keep your thoughts positive because your thoughts become your words. Keep your words positive because your words become your behaviors. Keep your behaviors positive because your behaviors become your habits. Keep your habits positive because your habits become your values. Keep your values positive because your values become your destiny. What is it, what is it? First thing is, keep your thoughts positive. They ultimately lead to your destiny. You are what you think about. What's the old saying? There's so many sayings about this. Like attracts like. Birds of a feather flock together. I mean, we will attract what we are thinking about, for good or for bad. Beverly, I know this is something that's on your mind. You think about this every day. Why don't you share a thought about this? So it's the law of attraction, right, Beverly?
Correct. Which is we are energy beings, and the law of attraction is as simply stated as this: that all things in your life, all things that you experience every moment, whether you want them or they're unwanted, they're brought to you by this powerful law. And all that means is exactly what you said, that we're just like magnets. We draw what we think about. So that's why habits rule the unreflecting herd. And we all grow up with habits, and so there's an easy way to change that, and it starts with your thoughts. But we've all heard, like attracts like, birds of a feather flock together. It is done unto you as you believe. And what's so magnificent about this is we all have it, because it's, whether you call it a gut feeling or intuition, change. If there's something that gives you that yuckiness, or someone just talk to you, whether it's gossip or something you can or cannot do, stop it. Just stop it, and don't allow those people into your lives. Cut off that negativity, because it is like a cancer. And it's just, we all grew up with it. It's the golden rule: what you give out in every aspect. Just as Gandhi said, starting with the thoughts, it comes back to you. And the most beautiful thing about this is that if you don't like what's coming back to you today, you can change it right now with this mastermind of where you want to go, what you want to do with your life, what you want to create. You do need to have action and make a decision and commit a minimum of 20 minutes a day in creating in a workshop, Joe. And
so how can that, okay, so let's talk business. Beverly, you are dead on. So let's say a person's signing up today, or maybe they're in the system already, and some of you are on this call, whatever rank you're in, what does it matter? You start your day off with, I can't do this. What's going to happen to their business, Beverly?
They can't do it. Like
Simply
attracts like.
So what if they start the day off every day with singing, I'm abundance?
I am abundance. And you attract to yourself also mentors, teachers, books. You've got to feed mind, body, spirit. We laughed about this on the premiere call a little bit, but Gordon's shower doesn't work today, so he had to re-shower again. It's the same thing. He's got to feed his body. He's got to feed his mind. He's got to feed his soul every single day to lead. If you want to lead, you want to grow, you want to expand, you want to have everything in this beautiful life that's been given to you, it's yours. It's that simple.
So if you start your day off with, I can't be a 1K, there's this thing, no, man, that's for Ray Heron. He's really good on the phone, man. Ray's really good on, but not for me. I can't do this. What's going to happen, do you think?
They're not going to be able to do it. Exactly right.
You're just going to attract it.
Already attracted. And that's the definition that it's going to prove. Law of attraction will prove whatever you believe. So if you don't like what's happening, I recommend analyze your thoughts, back a minute and say, ooh, okay, let's change that, and surround yourself with mentors and teachers to help you. That's what a mastermind is too. If someone starts to be negative, angry, bitter, those are very low and attacking you that you can't do it, get them out of your life. I just won't do business with them.
Don't let them in the mastermind.
You
don't want them in the mastermind.
Love them, honor them, but let them go.
Aaron, what's on your thoughts about this?
Well,
CEO and chairman of the board.
you know, just coming off of
You don't practice this, do you?
No, heck no. No, guys, you got to know I practice this every day. My mornings, as anyone around this table knows, are sacred to me. I wake up and I've got to protect myself immediately from negativity, just like you say. I mean, because you can choose to wake up and start looking at all the negative emails or whatever it might be, or turn on the news or the radio and hear about horrible things going on throughout the world, or you can choose to arm yourself with what is light, with what is right, and what is positive. And, you know, Anita Morjani actually said this in Mexico, and how grateful I was to be able to, you know, just listen to her again and hear her story. But she said, you know, you're here in life to be yourself. You've come to this world to act and live out your life in a way that only you can. And sometimes we forget that, you know, from early on in our childhood to however long we've lived, we have people telling us what is the appropriate way to go about doing things, from, you know, getting into your underwear first thing in the morning to
Bob
Proctor talks about that. How do you do it? It's what they refer to as conditioning. And, you know, even as a nation or a people, there's all levels of conditioning that go on, and it's kind of breaking out of that mindset that allows you to grow. I love what you say, Beverly. You not only kind of protect yourself with the positive thoughts, but being able to immerse yourself in some level of creativity. Yesterday I took about 20 minutes to teach my oldest girl kind of singing lessons. I'm not a singing teacher, but she actually stopped me and she says, you know, you grew up singing professionally, you can teach me how to sing. And here I was trying to lay that responsibility on somebody else. So we took that time, but it was a magical moment, something I never pictured myself doing, but everything kind of came back from those moments of singing creativity. And it inspired me, and it gave me so much energy for the rest of the day. It was amazing to see. But going back to what Anita Morjani said, you're here to live out your life, and to live it out the best possible way that you can. And you can only do that if you're being true to yourself, being authentic, loving when it's time to love, and growing when it's time to grow. Often we think of growth as taking place only in financial numbers, but I'm here to tell you there's a lot of growth taking place in distributor organizations right now, because people are immersing themselves and filling their cups. And what I said to the group in Mexico last week to the leaders was, you can't expect to fill others if you're not going to be filled yourself. And one of the things I love about, you know, many of the leaders we meet throughout the world is they immerse themselves in learning. I've got a great book that I was inspired by years ago. Let me give you the title of it. It's a book by Sterling Sill. It's called Lessons from Great Lives. And it's not so much the people that are in this book that will change your life, but it's the concept of the book. I think this is a book that every single one of us should write. And it has the likes of Napoleon and Lincoln and Socrates and Da Vinci and Mother Teresa and Florence Nightingale and Joan of Arc. And it's just a 3 or 4 page essay written by somebody on these heroes. And if you think about it, when you learn about a hero, you automatically in your brain have somebody that you can draw from, no matter who it is. And this is where reading becomes very important, because if you read a book about George Washington or Florence Nightingale or Joan of Arc, something they did at some point in their life when the chips were essentially against them, right? The tables had turned in their lives and everything seemed to be negative. They were able to pull out of it. And at any given moment, you have these people in your brain as
that you can draw on.
as a friend, right? You may not have known them, but their lives and their words are inspiring you, and not only you, but generations beyond you, because someone dared to write it down. And you can draw from their experience. So when you consider great lives, put those people in your lives. Put people in your own life that you can draw from, and expand your knowledge and your wisdom, your creativity.
So you're thinking, Aaron, like maybe once a quarter read a book, or
no,
once
it's got to be once a month, guys. Honestly, I'm reading several books a month, and I have to. There's enough going on in any given day where you have to be able to draw on multiple sources.
It's going to help them in their business, isn't it?
And I mentioned on last week's call, it's who's reading out there.
Yeah.
If someone comes to you with all their problems and they expect you to solve them, they're not reading. They're not trying to inspire themselves. And if they're not trying to inspire themselves to pull themselves out of the rut that all the conditioning in the media and in the world is trying to place upon them, how are you going to do it? Because they're not taking the steps first and foremost in their own lives to pull out of it. I'm telling you, if you read inspiring stories, if you read things that are going to uplift you, if you fill your mind with that, you will be inspiring. There is no doubt about it in my mind. You will change lives, and you will draw at a higher vibration people into your lives who want to play at the same level. Like Lisa Nichols said in our last convention, quit playing it safe and be radical. We have to. And part of being radical is changing it up, so.
I would say, thank you, Aaron. I would say, to add to that, if you're going to choose to read one book a month, and I know a lot of you are out there, and I commend, I'll say Tommy and Carolyn, I know you guys are recommending a book for your team every month. I know that the Tucson group right here, I know you guys, the Guzmans, you're recommending a book every, what's that?
I just read Thrive.
Thrive, that's the book that they're promoting right now. I love it. And Sandy and Ed and Richard and Carol and that whole team, Collie and Ray, that whole group that they've started that system, you guys are reading books every month. You're recommending a book a month. Now I would recommend, take that book, not only read it, but read it daily. Don't go a day. Beverly, you mentioned 20 minutes, I think you said, per day?
Minimum
20 minutes.
You've got to quiet your mind and decide what you want.
Exactly. How are you expecting to build a business? How are you expecting to be a phenomenal person in life, whatever role we play lots of roles. How are we expected to do this if we're not filling ourselves? It's just, it's absurd to think, with all the bombardment that we get all day long from the negativities out there. How can we expect to build a business?
And I would just throw this out just to give you kind of a safe place when it comes to that. I have to tell you, there are books I start that I never finish. Either the author can't capture my attention and I just put it down until I find something that works. It's okay. There may be books you want to read that do nothing for you. Put it down. Find something else that's going to inspire you. Just the bottom line is, take the time to get inspired.
Yes, agreed. And may I add to this mastermind? Think about what I just said. The Guzmans throw up Thrive, for example. That's the book. Guess what? They're all thinking in the same direction when they're reading that, aren't they? Listen to their threads on Voxer and watch what they're doing. They're all thinking in that direction. Mastermind. If Sandy and Ed are saying, and that team and that system saying, read this book, guys, mastermind, that means you're all going to start thinking in the same direction. If Tommy says, hey, read this book, his team's going to read it and they're going to be in the right direction. Grace says, read this book, and you all read in the right direction. So, from a business perspective, Gordon, I'm going to ask you, if a person thinks, I can't recruit, I just can't, I can't recruit, I'm not the type of person who can recruit, are they going to be recruiting, do you think?
No.
Or the opposite,
The irony
if
is
they think, I'm a recruiting machine, what's going to happen?
Well, I'm glad that we have a call like this where we can talk about this. we just finished a wonderful Labor Day weekend, all of us, and we've all had a great chance to associate with our friends and our family and our neighbors and in our, for lack of a better term, social-driven relationships. Our social-driven relationships are incredibly important. You gather with your folks on your social level and you talk about your kids and your sports teams and the weather and the movies. But I'm going to pose that equally important in your lives and equally important to everyone in this room are achievement-driven relationships. Achievement-driven relationships. Now, what do I mean when I say that? Well, an achievement-driven relationship are when you bring people of greatness together and you share talents and abilities and skills and knowledge with the purpose of developing and fostering success, as was mentioned by Beverly, with the purpose of action. And you share ideas about philosophies and books and whatnot. But Joe asked me to talk about a little bit of what I talked about on the leadership call last week. And that was, it's funny because all of us that were in the room, I started frantically writing when Joe talked about a leader that had shared the following soundbite with him, that he found it impossible to sponsor in August because it was August and it's the summer and it's the dog days of summer. And the irony is, with that statement, it's impossible to sponsor in August. That is one philosophy, and if you believe it, you're going to be surprised at how the whole world
when you believe it,
subscribes to that philosophy. Now, thank goodness people like Teresa Hora, I heard call in, did not believe that in August. And gosh, Teresa, you're on mute right now, but reach around and give yourself a pat on the back. What an amazing August you had. And you did not believe that it was impossible to sponsor in August. Apparently nobody told you that because you did the opposite. So what's the opposite of impossible? And this is what I was riffing about last week, and based on some of the great responses I got from some of y'all, I'll just reiterate what I said last week. You're all on mute, so I'll give you the same assignment I gave to the group on the call last week. That is, you can say out loud, it's possible. It is possible. And I'll give you the same challenge that I gave to the leaders last week. Don't just think it, ink it. Write this down. It is possible to recruit blank number of people, that blank is to be filled in for you, in the next, say, 2 weeks. Or if you want to give yourself a little more time, in the next 4 weeks. It is possible to recruit, and I put it out there. I've heard the debate over the years about whether 0 is a number or is not a number. In my world, it is not a number. 0 is not a number. As a matter of fact, Aaron jumped in and said, 1 is not a number. I'm like, well, 1 is actually a number, but I see where Aaron is going on this. North of 1 is the number you should write in there. It is possible to recruit X number of people. In the next 2 weeks, can I be so bold as to say that? And start thinking that way. It is possible. The world will tell you it is impossible to be debt-free, drama-free, healthy mentally, healthy physically, inspired, motivated. But it is very possible to have all of the above. I'm completely in agreement with that. And, we were talking about books, and I mentioned this when we were on the call last week. I looked across, and the book that Joe was reading was Words Can Change Your Brain, which I thought was so great, and I vocalized that. So this morning when I got to the office, there was a copy of the book that Beverly had bought for me, and she put it on my desk. So now I can actually read the content of the book. But I'm going to put a word out there, and this is a word that I mentioned last week. It's one of the many, many, many books I've read in the past several years. There was a chapter, I remember the author, and I give credit to author unknown. I can't remember who said it. But he talked about the power of the word because. If you have a pen and a piece of paper close by, write down the word because. My kids, my wife, and my daughter recently just went and saw Wicked, the play. It was here in Salt Lake this summer, and so I'm in a house of the Wizard of Oz house right now. Everybody is talking about this, and there's a great scene in the Wizard of Oz where they're all off to see the wizard. And as they're walking along, I want you to think about this. We've all heard and seen this movie, and they say, we're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz, because, and then they give the because of the wonderful things he does. This is such a powerful word in the English language, and it is for us as salespeople. The entire world is built up of the question why and the answer because. And if you're a parent, you know this, the dialogue of, you need to brush, this was this morning's dialogue in my house. You need to brush your teeth. Why, Dad? I brushed them last night. because plaque buildup, because let me take you to the side of town where people don't brush their teeth every day, and you can see that their teeth look like, and then at a certain point, as parents, we frustrated and we say, because I freaking told you to do it, okay? The irony is, the conversation turns at some point. Hey, did you brush your teeth? I told you 10 minutes ago. No. Why? Because, Dad, my sister was blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this question, because, we have to get very good at answering why. Why do I sign up with XANGO? Because, and the better we are and more passionate, and I'm not saying the answer should be different in many cases with the people that the type of person you are, whether you're, in the color scheme, a green or a red or a blue. But I want you to think about this important word. If you write down nothing else, just write down actually I want you to write down how many people are going to sponsor. That's a really important one, okay? So we make it a self-fulfilling prophecy, yes. Because why? Okay.
Because of the wonderful things it does.
Exactly. Because it will accelerate your success, because you can become physically fit.
And not just you guys, but have your downlines. Write it down. But draw the line in the sand, whatever that number is. Gordon threw out the number of 2. Anyone can do 2, right? If everyone, imagine what would happen to your group if everyone recruited into the business 2 new business builders into the business during the month of September. Let's put it out there. Report to Joe. Send him a text or place it on his Facebook. How many you plan on recruiting? Let's see the leaders that are on this call start the Macarena, so to speak, or start the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge, right? What do you think ALS thought? It's not possible to raise any money this summer. Let's just take a break. But something happened, something magical happened, and that's exactly what Gordon's talking about.
It raises the belief level. Exactly true, Aaron. As a matter of fact, we were joking. I said, you put it on a T-shirt and wear the T-shirt in front of your group and say, put the number 3 on a T-shirt if that's what your number is, and share it. If you don't share your goals with your upline, how is your upline going to help you achieve those goals? And as an upline, share it with your upline and cross-line so that you've got a big mouth promise out in the universe that you will make a self-fulfilling prophecy. And gosh, you can create the September of your dreams if you'd start to put some of that down. And it builds belief. If anybody's heard me speak before, I talk about belief and passion. Some people truly believe that sales is convincing people to do something they don't want to do. But I'm instead going to give you an alternate definition, that sales is actually giving people more advantage in their life. And sales is not about taking, it's about giving time, giving attention, giving counsel, giving education, empathy, value, whatever that is. But I mentioned last week, I came across this, and I don't know how it took me 47 years to come across this, but the actual root for the word sell is from the Old English sellen, S-E-L-L-E-N. If you're in front of your Google, you can Google it, but the actual, I'm not even making this up, the actual meaning is to give. It actually continues on and says to furnish, to supply, to deliver. That's what we do as a company. That's what we do as a group of individuals. And I love this idea of a mastermind call because it's important to feed our brain, and it helps us with those achievement-driven relationships, which are going to make us, was going to make the September for XANGO, us, all of us, successful. And I think going into Long Beach, I really see a 6 to 7 week period of accelerated growth going into Long Beach. And I'm going to see people in my brain walking across stage with pin levels that they didn't have right now as we're speaking. So, yeah. I told Joe, can I just riff for a little bit? And Joe said, yeah. And I see Joe's like, okay, shut up. So
no, not at all.
Brother,
I just got a message came in saying Gord's on fire. So that's good.
Just
it's
limitless.
No, it's fantastic.
Anyway.
So we were talking right beforehand. Thank you, Gord. Awesome. And for those who are out there saying to yourself, I can't recruit people or recruit someone who's interested in the product or whatever it may be. Guys, start with I can. I can. If you say you can't, guarantee you can't. Guarantee it. Janelle Crane we mentioned Janelle, and she's always on top recruiters. I'll tell you right now, if Janelle were right now talking to us, she would not be saying she goes into talking to someone because she can never do this. I know she believes in herself. She believes in the products. She believes in the message. She believes in what she's bringing, and she's practicing what you talk about there, Gord. She doesn't look at, I'm trying to convince someone. No, just brilliant stuff. Thank you, Gordon. Okay, so we were talking right before here, before the call, about this subject. Kent, what's on your mind, my friend? Kent Wood, one of my partners. We were talking about law of attraction. Like attracts like. What's on your mind, my friend?
Well, thank you, Joe. And I missed the first few minutes as one of our 200Ks had me on a three-way that we scheduled before this call was scheduled with a brand new distributor that he's got up and running. So I love to see the activity among our leaders doing the exact thing that they're telling their brand new distributors to do. As Gordon was talking about putting down a goal with respect to recruiting, the words of John Wooden came to mind, and he said, goals achieved with little effort are seldom worthwhile or long-lasting. And if you want to be comfortable, put the number 0 or 1 or 2. The easier that goal is to achieve, the much less benefit you're going to receive from it. But instead, challenge yourself and put a number that most people on your group, most people on your team are going to look at you and say, that lady has absolutely lost her mind. What is she thinking? Telling us that she's going to sponsor that many people this month. And have your goal aggressive enough that it keeps you up at night once in a while. As you see those 14 days start to count down, and you've told your team what you're going to do, that's where we see changes in business. When people do feel like they've got to move mountains, and because they firmly believe that that's what they can do, somehow the universe cooperates. And the mountains start to move when that's how we approach our business.
Oh, so true. I like that. That was great. That is exactly true. It starts up here. I'm pointing at my brain right now. It starts up in our mind. It starts in our hearts, and it goes from there. I love this quote from Prentice Mulford about the law of attraction. The person who succeeds must always in mind or imagination live, move, think, and act as if he or she had gained that success, or he or she will never gain it. They won't. Or the opposite. Starts up here, they will gain it. They will. I'm going to invite us all.
Can I just throw this in? You know, I was having a discussion with Chris Peterson a couple of weeks ago. He was into this barefoot running thing, and he was talking about how when he would get tired, you know, he would imagine an announcer basically saying, "Oh, that's not like Chris Peterson to get tired in the last laps of the race." And I said, it's interesting you say that, because I think every athlete or every visionary paints these pictures in their mind, because your mind doesn't know the difference between what is reality and what is placed in the mind. This is where negative thoughts come into play. Sometimes we don't even realize how negative we are on ourselves, how hard on ourselves that we are in a given day, and before you know it, we're failing. It's because we're sabotaging ourselves. Even though we might say, I'm going to be a millionaire by the end of the year, or whatever it might be, we keep telling ourselves, oh no, that's not possible. But there's a point in time in every star athlete, every gold medalist earner will tell you they have gone through the race many, many times. Every aspect of the race, believing, envisioning, seeing themselves winning. And, you know, building a business is no different. You have to visualize it. So as Gordon says, put two names on a piece of paper, envision it. The people will walk into your mind, but your mind does not know the difference between reality and what is going on in there. It just processes at this kind of quantum level, right? And so it's going to make things happen regardless. So anyway, I think it's just an
In fact, to go to that point, I think it was Bob Proctor was quoting a study done on athletes, professional athletes, and they hooked up electrodes or whatever it was to their bodies. And when they played it out in their mind, the muscles fired the same way. And the tendons, and I don't have all the details in the study, but just listening to it yesterday.
Yeah.
That exact thing, it actually fires the same way because you're playing it out in your mind. And once again, one of the main reasons, folks, be very careful what we feed in our mind every single day to begin our day with. Because if you wake up and you roll out of bed, you stretch and you go turn on the news, guess what? You're going to get negative bump, 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 bump going into your mind the whole time, and you're going to go into that day thinking you cannot do it. But if you wake up, you roll out of bed, and the first thing you do is give thanks, and the next thing you do is you start to read, whatever it is. Whatever that book is, if someone's recommending a book right now, your upline read it. Get in the mastermind mentality. Get into it. But if you don't have a book to read, pick up As a Man Thinketh. And I'm going to invite you to do that. I'm going to challenge you to do that and read it every day. If you only read 1 page a day, you will be better off.
And if you want to read something in a single night, read The Stranger's Secret by Earl Nightingale.
Oh my gosh.
That one will change your mindset overnight. Gord, tell them what we were talking about as we prepped for this meeting, what your business partner back in the day when you were, what he would say to the group.
All right, so there's a few of you on this line that have heard me talk about the guy that mentored me, a guy named Ken Pontius, and in irony is I saw a picture of him today. Somebody showed me a picture from way back, and he was in the photo. And he used to stand in front of groups and say, how many people in this room believe you could sponsor 50 people in the next 30 days? Not a hand would go up. It was universal. Nobody would put their hand up, you know. And then he would say, well, I have a checkbook in my pocket, and I'm willing to take out a check. And he was quite rich, so everybody knew he could deliver on this. He'd say, I'm going to write a check for $150,000, and I will give it to the person who can recruit 50 people in the next 30 days. And how many people believe they could recruit 50 people? And every hand would go up. And he said, well, what just changed? Now, obviously, he was taking an extreme viewpoint here, but he said, what just changed? Because then he went through and he would do the math and say, you actually, if you were to recruit 50 people and put them in this structure and have even a small percentage of people replicate that, you would have $150,000. And it was just an interesting dialogue because people believed they couldn't do 50 people. And as soon as there was a motivation, a carrot at the end of that 30-day process, oh my gosh, every hand went up. And I thought, wow, that is just an interesting exercise on the human brain. And Joe he started by talking about Think and Grow Rich, and I don't even have to read the page from it, and I know what it looks like in my brain. What the mind of man can conceive and believe, he can achieve. What he can conceive and believe, he can achieve. And I think, as Aaron mentioned, if you get up every day and you're waking up and your first thought is, you turn on CNN and you see a beheading, and you see the crisis in Ferguson, and you see wildfires and mountain lions attacking people, and guess what you just did to your mind first thing in the morning? You know, what did they say? Hope awakens every day and dies every night, or reverse, I can't remember. But if you fill your mind with that garbage first thing in the morning, guess what? Your brain is fixated on death, destruction, mayhem, and so instead, get up, and we were talking about yoga. Gosh, you know, I'm just a weird yoga guy. I love yoga, but one of the mantras they teach you in yoga is when you're doing your Ajaya breath, you talk about calm in, breathe in calm, and exhale anxiety. And if you do that in the morning while you're laying in bed before you get out, you breathe in calm and you breathe out anxiety, and you breathe in prosperity and you breathe out negativity, and you do that before your feet touch the ground. Oh my gosh, you're amazing how the world suddenly comes in line with what you're thinking. You get out and suddenly the first person that you encounter, maybe it's your kids or maybe it's your spouse or something like that, suddenly they just look better to you, you know? It's just your brain is in the right space. So I'm sorry, we're waxing a little philosophical here. So, but
right, you know, it goes back. You know, speaking of the mind, the mind's no different than the earth, right? The earth doesn't care what you plant in it, right? It produces. You can plant poison ivy or a fruit tree that will produce apples for the rest of its life. The mind's the same way. It doesn't care what you plant into it. It doesn't matter. It's like this great fertile ground, right? Mm-hmm. That's what Earl Nightingale says.
Exactly it.
And whatever you plant in it will grow, whether it be negativity or positivity. So.
And we choose positivity at XANGO. We choose abundance. We choose prosperity. We choose success, not failure. Success. And I want you to we invite you to start every day with those thoughts. Dave, help take us home, and we appreciate you joining us on this first, but not last, Mastermind Call.
Thanks, Joe. And without taking anything away from what's been said, this call is available to listen to again, and I recommend you do it. Because every concept, every principle that we talk about are not XANGO specific. They're universal. And the principles are true and proven, and we just want to take advantage of them for everyone's good on this call. People that don't even know us right now are going to come to XANGO Rush convention because of this call. People that have never heard of us, people that might not even know you, are going to come to this convention and they're going to have their lives changed. And it is an honor to work with you.
Why? Because we can see it, Dave.
Why?
We can see it right now.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Nothing
it's not
happens that is not visualized.
Maybe. No,
Yeah.
it's going to happen.
Yeah.
You watch, folks.
Yep. Nothing happens that isn't visualized, and you know the vision of Aaron and Joe and Gordon and Beverly and Kent and everybody on this call. Everybody who decided to get on this call has at least that measure of optimism to say, I can make something better for myself. So I encourage everybody on this call, listen to it again, pick up some of the books you've been reading, pick up some of the things you've been hearing about, and start to incorporate them, and you're going to find a magical change in your life. It's not magical, it's almost science now. But we're ready to see it happen, we're ready to make these changes, and we're ready to roll forward. So thanks for being with us. Everybody on this call, thank you for joining us. Kent, Beverly, Gordon, Aaron, and Joe, the world thanks you for what you're providing to us all. So thanks, everybody. Make it a great night.
See you guys.